Let me give you 4 portraits of a revised version of the earth, and you'll understand some of the meaning of those metaphors. Heaven would be like a banquet, number 1. A banquet, a party, a festival, a carnival. You've been to those banquets where there's scrumptious food and plentiful celebration and wonderful drinks. Hoping that you don't think about the debauched side of the party. Remember, heaven is the true, good, and beautiful side of the earth. You will be the celebrity of the banquet. And if anybody questions why you should be there at the banquet, you can say, the owner has invited me. And here is the invitation card. This is a promise from him. And even the bouncer at the front gate will let you in because you know the owner. A second portrait of heaven is that of a garden. A garden, what image does a garden conjure inside your mind? Now, for my wife, it conjures all sorts of pleasantness and beauty. You've been to nature spots all over the world. As I have, I can't forget the rainforests of beautiful Costa Rica, or the seafronts of Fiji in the South Pacific, or the mountains of Nepal. Only if it's over 20,000 feet did they call it a mountain. Everywhere else, those are just hills, they would call them. I'm told that a tourist in Nepal said she could not see the scenery because the mountains kept getting in her way. Nature spots, most beautiful spots of the world, gardens. In the morning, sometimes my wife and I take a little walk the side of our house where she's planted flowers. And for me, a flower is a flower. Maybe it's a red flower and a blue flower and a yellow flower, but for her, she knows the names and the specimens and the species of these flowers, particular kinds. For me, a bird is a bird, but she knows what kind of birds they are. Garden, lush, healthy, growing, cultivated and wild, extravagant and beautiful. That's a portrait of heaven. Just imagine a garden, a worldwide garden. Another portrait, not only a banquet and a garden, I'm going to call it a city. That seems like the opposite of a garden, but a city has a life of its own, pulsating life, especially during happy hour, as it were, or unfortunately peak hour traffic. Now, contemporary urbanologists and architects are trying to plan the city of the future, which will be most human, which will be fully plugged in, where there will be no problems with sanitation and health problems, and there'll be ample water, portable drinking water, and renewable energy. The architect of the heavenly city, he's been at it from eternity. He created this earth, and if this earth is beautiful in its cities, whether it's super hotel cities which mark the skyline of the finest cities of the world, 7-star, 8-star, 10-star, this heaven is going to be a city. Not only a banquet and a garden and a city, a fourth portrait of heaven, it's going to be home at last. I travel as you travel. And after a while, travel gets rather tiring, doesn't it? We don't like the inside of hotel rooms and airplane cabins. We're waiting to get home, especially if you have a happy home, because you have a fabulous family there. You have the familiarity of your own room, of your bed. You can even find the washroom in the dark. You know you belong, and there's happiness there. The perfect future, heaven in a revised version of the earth, will feel just like home. You say, my goodness, how come I waited this long to get there? So that's the use of superlatives. Heaven is another kind of earth. Perhaps the best known contemporary theoretical physicist has now come up with the Grand Design book, where he's talking about how all reality depends on the observer. He's calling it theory-dependent realism. Now, that particular theory-dependent realism has no objective, empirical support for it. It's a philosophical, epistemological construct. It's not something that you've observed and you come to it. I like his analogy, however, in terms of heaven and earth. sometimes called apposite, not opposite, but apposite analogies, that they are suitable and relevant to one another. And these two writers have talked about how a goldfish attempts to construct the walls outside the spherical goldfish bowl and say those are all curved walls. Now, what the theory says is that both the goldfish and humans, even though humans know that the walls are rectilinear, know that they can experience their realities in their own way and each would be correct. Except the humans know that the goldfish's view of the rectilinear room as a curved wall is not true. It's only for the goldfish that is true of reality, but the human's view of reality includes the goldfish's view of reality. That's the limitation of trying to talk about heaven. Heaven includes the earth in its best, beautiful, good, and true form. But earth does not include heaven. We can only be like a goldfish trying to describe through our spherical fish bowls as to what heaven is like. But those are 4 beautiful portraits, superlative, a revised edition of the planet Earth.